Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.
This is Scott Richmond
and Arnie Sherman.
You're listening to What Do You Know on Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290 and 98.3 FM. Arnie Sherman, a good Sunday morning. We're back.
We've been away for a couple of weeks. I've been away. You've been hard at work, but I've been traipsing around the world, checking out different places, different locales. As long as I'm still mobile and have all my original body parts, I'm traveling like a maniac to make sure. Too many of my friends, too many of people that
right?
Say I'm going to do all of these things when I retire, or when the kids are all grown, and then something happens and you can't do it all. So I've just resolutely going to keep traveling until either one of my body parts fall apart, or I can't get on a plane anymore. So it's been fun. I have trips coming up, but I'm always happy to come back to Missoula. I'm always happy when I get off the plane.
Right, we have golf season.
It's golf season. Well, this is
this is the best time.
Unless you're a football fan, American football fan.
Right.
We're into the best sports season ever.
Agreed.
We have hockey playoffs. We have NBA playoffs. We have Major League Baseball.
Right.
We have Olympics coming up.
Yes.
We have golf every weekend. There's a golf tournament or something. Every other major sport is in full action at the same time, except for football. And football is going to have the draft coming up, so we're still going to have some football stuff going on.
So I thought about this. March, April, May, June, prime time for sports,
yeah,
right?
Totally.
You had a couple of weeks after the Super Bowl, and then you're into March Madness.
Right. You had the March Madness, and particularly with the women's tournament that drew more than the men's tournament. Caitlin Clark playing for Indiana.
Just great stuff.
That's outrageous, by the way. Did you see that the number one draft choice for the NBA last season had a $35 million 4-year contract, and her 4-year contract is $835,000? I mean, it's outrageous. She draws as much of a crowd in the tournament, and
she's going to make it up in endorsements.
Oh, well, she will, but not as much, not $35 million worth, I don't think.
Definitely not.
No, so, plus it's a time, every sport has its ups and downs, but we just had the Masters, and you had all these other, 26-year-olds competing for the championship, which is,
young people.
Changing in the guard. Tiger was, 29, shot an 82 or something on the last round. Phil Mickelson sort of out of it. Bryson DeChambeau, who was the hot thing a few years ago, who's 30 now, is like almost,
He's an old man.
He's an old man now. These guys are young and
we're also
very
not
competitive.
Fans. We're not fans because he went to Live.
Yeah, well, I'm not a big Live fan. I don't like that.
Well, listen, I'm going to help you with your transition into our guest today.
Yeah,
so
good.
Springtime in Missoula is always marked by
the International Wildlife Film Festival.
Exactly.
Which is actually going on this very weekend, April 20th to 25th.
Right.
And also, for those who can't make it to that, terrific event, from the 28th of April to May 3rd, it's virtual. So you can go online and see the 50 or 60 films.
Beautiful.
That are juried and competing in probably, arguably the best international wildlife film festival in the world.
Which is great.
And it's been here for 47 years. I'm sort of doing Mike Steinberg's interview. Our guest today is Mike Steinberg, who is the executive director of the non-for-profit Roxy Theater,
right,
and the Wildlife Film Festival,
right,
and his record store, and he's a producer, director, choreographer, a cinematographer. I mean, he does everything.
Many hats he wears.
Yeah, he does a lot of jobs to stay here in Missoula.
And he's also from the Midwest, so we have so much to talk to him about.
Yeah, I'm excited to have him here. I'm excited to hear about the film festival. Some of those films have over the years have been fantastic.
Right.
And I'm anxious to hear about what we have in store this weekend.
Yeah, with Mike Steinberg. We will be right back after these words with our guest, return guest, Mike Steinberg. back after this. All right, Arnie, we are back with our guest, Mike and Livia.
From the International Wildlife Film Festival, the Roxy Theater. We're going to find out more about Livia's background, but we know Mike from a previous show.
Absolutely.
You know, Michael is an acclaimed filmmaker, cinematographer, producer, director. I don't even know.
Keep going.
Have
Yeah,
you been in front of the camera too?
Oh, unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, he's been in front of the camera.
times.
He's had
Too many
films
times.
in the beloved Tribeca Film Festival in the past, right?
Well, actually, I just sort of did the cinematography for that, but it was my wife's film. Yeah.
So his wife has a film. I mean, this is a
multifaceted,
Well, at least let's say
talented.
faceted. I'm sorry, I keep knocking you down, but
no.
I'll go with
Stop being so modest.
Self-deferential.
It's the first family
Darling.
of film of Missoula. How about
good
that?
God.
Yes.
Okay,
I like
sure.
that. I like that.
Yeah,
I
I like
to build
that.
it
I'll
up.
go with that. That's really humble.
So before we talk about the film festival and the Roxy, give us, for our listeners who maybe don't remember the last show we did, tell them about your background.
Well, I don't know. I've been making films for about 30 years and been at the Roxy Theater now for the last 11 years.
Doesn't it seem like it's just yesterday?
It kind of does. I mean, you know, this time of year, as we get around at the film festival, this is also the time of year that I started working there 11 years ago. And I'm always reminded of the beginning of, you know, then it was just a film festival and we weren't doing community screenings or one-off, you know, repertory or whatever. None of that. It was just like once a year they do a film festival. And so at that point, 11 years ago, we kind of started this idea of community cinema in Missoula. And yeah, that seems like yesterday, but it has been 11 years that we've been.
And how
rolling.
does the film festival tie in with the Roxy Theater?
Well, you know, it's really kind of a critical event that we do every year. And it's always in April. It's sort of a mark of spring. You know, you see bluebirds and you see the film festival and you know you see it snowing on an April morning and you know
Yes.
it's definitely spring in Missoula.
Exactly. And you migrated here from where?
I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. And I got out here in 98 and I want to say I never left, but I left, you know, a few times. I went to go teach and went, you know, traveling and whatever. But I originally came out in 1988 and was so blown away that I was like, I want to live there someday.
Yeah.
It took me 10 years to figure out how to get out here, but you know.
Is Tony's on the Boulevard still in St. Louis?
Tony's, I mean, I haven't been, I was in St. Louis in January to see my family. I haven't been to, I mean, Tony's has got to be there.
Yeah, it's got to be. It
I
was
mean,
an
the hill-
institution, right?
The whole hill is changed dramatically, but there's this is an Italian neighborhood that they call the Hill. And it's amazing restaurants and delis and markets.
In a previous life, I lived in University City and went to Blackberry Lane Elementary School.
Oh, dude, my dad lived in University City. He went to Delmar Harvard is where he went to
I
grade
only lived
school.
there for a very short time.
Yeah.
And that tied into the era in movies when my dad was working for Universal Pictures, was running their office.
Oh, we've talked about that. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then I lived. So we lived in Olivet, and there was a big Universal and MCA building was there.
Right. That was the connection.
That's right. I remember that now. I was like, this is. Yeah.
Is this great, Livia? This is what we do
Livia,
here.
we don't want to leave you out of this conversation.
Of Jewish geography.
So tell us,
Jewish geography.
so tell us a little about your background.
So I'm originally from São Paulo, Brazil, and I moved to the United States in 2015 to go to grad school. I went to the UNC School of the Arts for my MFA in creative producing and started working in film festivals. I was not thinking about this as a career at all. I just started volunteering at film fests just because I loved watching films and talking about films and writing about films. And then I realized, I actually love programming more than being on set. And I've been doing this ever since. So, yeah.
And you saw her, found her, and thought,
Found her. Well, we have a colleague through the university and in the wildlife biology department, Melinda Booth, who's really wonderful. And Melinda worked at Wild and Scenic for a number of years and worked with Livia. And we were looking for a guest programmer for this year. And I reached out to Melinda and said, do you know anybody who may be interested in doing this or would have a background in the programming? And she recommended Liv, and I called her. We had a half hour, 45-minute conversation. I was like, this is probably the person. And somehow, in the midst of her schedule, she's actually the festival director for Wild and Scenic, but in the process of that kind of wrapping up and IWFF ramping up, she was available and pulled it off. I think exceptionally well.
Yeah, it was perfect timing, actually.
It didn't seem like it. I mean, it seemed like it was
It's crazy.
right, pretty like a slice of just right timing. But yeah.
So 47 years ago,
Yeah.
this was the brainstorm of a University of Montana person.
Yes,
right?
a gentleman named Charles Jonkel. Chuck Jonkel.
Chuck. Everybody knows him as Chuck.
Yeah.
And why Missoula for an international wildlife film festival?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he knew what he was getting into.
Right.
You know, Chuck was a bear biologist and taught at the university and was very concerned about the state of wildlife film and what that was doing to conservation and was doing to people's perception of animals. And, you know, there's a lot of, there's a show called Mutual Omaha's Wild Kingdom.
Yeah, oh, sure, yeah.
Marlon Perkins.
There's the guy, which was actually a St. Louis film. It was,
Right, yeah,
it was
I remember.
produced there, strangely enough. But,
Yeah.
you know, there was a lot of like fakery and camera trickery and also interaction with the animals that was, would habituate the animals and put them in danger. And they're trying to make films. And it was just basically unethical approaches to making wildlife films. And so that was really Chuck's skin in the game, was that he wanted to see the industry change. And so he's reached out to filmmakers and developed this this festival, which was very filmmaker friendly and brought them together with scientists so that they could bring kind of an ethical approach to making wildlife films.
Sure. So now fast forward 47 years. What does it look like now?
Oh, we don't do that anymore.
No.
Sasquatch. And,
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. All AI generated animals, right?
Yeah, exactly. So exactly, it makes it real easy. You just press a button. No, it's I mean, at its heart, it's very much the same festival. I mean, we're very filmmaker friendly. We're very interested in ethics and filmmaking, but also in in the sort of message of conservation that's at the heart of a lot of the wildlife films. Unfortunately, that message is increasingly that we're screwing up the planet.
Sure.
Right.
And, that wasn't so much the case in the early kind of like observational films where they would, point a camera in the Serengeti and you just see a lion do its thing.
Have you had a chance to go to see the Darren Aronofsky film about Earth at the Sphere? I heard.
No, I have not. In Vegas?
Yes, in Vegas.
No, I haven't. I heard it's incredible, though.
I did too, and I'm just like, he just seems like the most unlikely person to do a film about the Earth. But,
yeah, except that I think he definitely has that angle down.
I bet.
You saw a movie like Mother.
Right.
It's about a dying planet, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, not to bring you down, but I mean, I think that is the core of the film's. With that said, I mean, actually, we have a much more uplifting program than we've had in previous years. Just happenstance.
Right. Good.
Is it really international? Where do the films come from?
They come from all over.
All over. And I just want to make sure that, it's clear that, we have the stories talking about how the planet is not doing good. But one of the things that we're definitely looking and you'll see in the lineup this year is like uplifting stories and people doing good, organizations that are trying to make sure that we preserve this for future generations and that we keep this planet wild and beautiful for everyone.
Beautiful. That's great.
Yeah.
Hey, Scott, I don't know why I'm reminded when they talk about the, downers of that Mad Magazine cover which was the one where they said, if you don't buy this magazine, we're going to shoot this dog.
Yeah, right.
So that was always a downer. I remember that from a long time ago. But we don't have those kind of films.
We don't. Yeah, no. And also we didn't go with that marketing campaign this year.
No.
Different approach. But no, I mean, Lee's not kidding. And you can really tell by the morale of our staff that in general, the content of our festival is much more upbeat, much more uplifting. And again, it's stories. It's not like we're not like trying to greenwash this in any way. It's just like there's some people doing some extraordinary stuff.
Sure.
So,
and it's being documented.
So this is, these aren't films that are going to end up running, in AMC theaters and all that sort of thing. They're not big money makers. What is the passion that drives, 50 or 60 films in the film festival? What's the passion that drives the filmmakers to go out and try to raise the money and put it together and the labors of love, the 60 labors of love, every year? What's the passion behind that?
Do you have any idea?
Leave has an
I mean,
it's
I
a
think
great question.
filmmakers, especially filmmakers who do this kind of things, they are activists themselves, right? So it's their way. And I mean, something that I truly believe is that cinema has the power to move minds and make people reflect and and change the things and learn. And I think one of the most powerful tools in our festival is like how the films make us learn something new. Every time that I'm watching a film that I think, oh, I know a lot about whales, I'm learning something new about whales, right?
But the nice thing is that these films, as specialized as they are, there are more outlets on streaming television, right? On television, between Netflix and Hulu and then Nat Geo and Discovery, there's all these outlets for it that maybe didn't exist 10 years ago.
That's true.
Right? So do you, when you choose a film and you're curating the program, first of all, how are you finding the films? Second of all, what's the criteria for a film to make it into the festival, right? And then third, how involved are you after it, it exhibits at the International Wildlife Film Festival?
Finding distributors or any of that
right.
sort of
Do you
thing.
help these guys find distributors? I mean, are you a connector for filmmakers to other outlets or other film festivals? So a lot of questions there.
A lot of questions.
Yeah. I mean, but
take them all one at a time.
We're very much part of the process. And,
Good.
And Artie's question of these films don't play at a big AMC or a big theater.
Right.
They're not getting wide distribution. Certainly, there's the possibility that they might find a home on streaming outlets. But for a lot of filmmakers, the festival release is their theatrical release.
Wow.
And if you think about just from your experience with movies, that model where it's like movies start in movie theaters and then they go to some version of home video or streaming or whatever. The technology's changed, obviously, but it used to be like, and then you get the videotape and then it's on ABC on Sunday night or whatever. But film festivals are very much a part of that process to get the films out there to audiences. The other so that filmmakers can be there and get a response. I mean, where are you going to have that opportunity to see how your audience deals with the film?
Plus, even your film festival, is live the 20th to the 25th, but then you go virtual from April 28th to May 3rd. So people who can't make it there, they can see it
still
virtually.
have an opportunity. And so filmmakers can use and do use the the fact that they've played at our festival, the laurels that they put on their webpage or their posters or whatever, as a way to kind of push that film forward. It's got this prestige because it played at these events or whatever. So it's very much a part of the process. And will that help them get to a distributor? Possibly. I mean, the reality is the industry is what it is, and there are people who are deciding, this is what everybody wants.
What are the funding sources for films for this type of?
It's all over the place. I mean, there's foundations which support films depending on the subject matter. That if it's an ocean film, maybe there's somebody in that, a foundation in that world that wants to, further those causes. Individuals. I mean, you don't see so much the model like Hollywood films where you invest in it, for documentaries because it's a pretty bad investment.
Right.
And I think people are aware of that. So.
Right.
What's the biggest commercial success you've seen in the last 11 years from the festival? Any film breakout so that it was, got national exposure? I
mean, there's a film we had last year, which we were just talking about yesterday, called Deep Rising, which is about underwater mining, voiced by Aquaman. What's his name?
Jason
Momoa.
That guy. Yeah, that guy.
That guy. Nobody knows
He
him.
narrates that. Yeah. And that's had, I've noticed that it hasn't quite landed streaming-wise, but it had a huge theatrical release. I think it played in IMAX theaters.
Wow.
So, yeah. I mean,
that's a big deal.
And, sometimes films, too, get retooled, and Disney was packaging Earth as a series.
Yeah.
But was also a BBC series prior to that.
Well, it also could be the, sort of the germ for the development of somebody sees this and wants to make a major film out of the kernel of the idea that was done in this festival.
Yeah.
So
what is the biggest success you think you've seen out of recent lineups? Putting you on the spot.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not entirely sure. I think I thought about Deep Rising. We did play it at the festival at the Wild and Scenic when I was there. as
that
well.
Mushroom movie. Did you guys play the Mushroom movie? Fantastic Fungi?
No, but I know what
Did you hear
you're
about
talking
this thing?
Yeah.
No,
This
Fantastic
thing was
Fungi.
incredible. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a beautiful film, and it's also mind blowing in terms of its subject. Like,
Right.
who knew that mushrooms were as important as they actually are?
Right.
And actually, we don't know. We don't know how important they are, but they're pretty dang
Wow.
important. And this thing became a huge success for art houses. I mean, it wasn't necessarily a mall theater type.
Right, but for
But
for the
art houses, it
Roxy's
played
around,
everywhere. Yeah, and it was a huge success.
It's
So it's juried. Are there is there prizes they get besides just an award?
Yeah,
For what?
we hand out 11 award categories. So we have 11 categories, and they all get awards.
So that's
And we're actually releasing. This will
yeah.
be already.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody will know this
Yeah.
already because we release who are the winners before the festival starts.
Oh, you do?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. So that actually helps sell.
And how
films.
many attendees come? How many people show up for this?
Well, the festival at the everything is at the Roxy,
yeah.
except for one event that's at the University of Montana in the UC Theater,
Right.
which is a free event on Tuesday night. Everything else is at the Roxy, and over the week we'll have about 5,000 or 6,000 people through the turnstiles. We don't have turnstiles, as
Right.
it turns out.
No,
But
we
that-
need to get some, but we'll have about 5,000 or 6,000, and then meanwhile, all week long at the university in that same theater,
Right.
we have these matinee screenings for all the schools.
right. It's
So
fantastic.
all throughout MCPS and coming as far as Pablo and Arlie and
Right.
all over the place.
The Roxy is the only movie theater I
That's
go
about
to.
3,000 more kids.
Yes.
In
Mike,
addition.
I was just going
remember-
to say the Roxy is the only movie theater I go to anymore. In Missoula.
Is that right?
Yes, it's true.
Well, thank
I'm
you.
a
It is
member.
it's fun. Great. Best popcorn.
Well, besides that, you curate the right kind of movies there. I mean, some of them
Right.
overlap with what, but a lot of them
Occasionally,
don't,
sure.
and they're movies I want to see.
Oh, cool.
You know,
Good.
and I am of the age that I prefer seeing the movie the first time in a theater.
Sure.
yeah.
It's just I don't care. Home theaters never match what you can get by going and sitting down and you're not worried about the phone ringing or stopping something to go and get you're watching this movie from beginning to end the way
Right.
the way the production team wanted it to be seen.
Do you go see the older films as well, the rep?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing too. I'm such a sucker to see a film that I've seen before with an audience on a big screen. You know, of course you could watch it on your
Yeah, but it's
on
not
your
the same.
phone or
I was
whatever.
just
Right.
thinking about that when I was driving here today, and I was watching a movie the other night that I said it should be at the Roxy because it's such
What is
a
it?
great movie. My Favorite Year.
Oh, with Peter O'Toole?
With Peter O'Toole, he was
Yeah, yeah.
nominated for one of his 7 Academy Awards for that.
Yeah.
You know, it was a takeoff of the old Sid
Show of
Caesar
Shows. Yeah,
show of
yeah.
shows with Joseph Bologna.
Yeah.
It had a 97 Rotten Tomatoes. Still, I mean, it's still
a great
one of the-
movie.
It's a
It's a
great
great movie.
movie.
Yeah,
It captures the 50s and the early days of TV
Yeah.
really well. Bill Macy is in it. It's got a
who's
really
that guy?
great cast.
Who's the guy who plays the Sid Caesar guy? I
It's
can't
Joseph Bologna.
remember. Oh, is it Joseph?
Yeah,
Okay,
Jo-
right,
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever see this movie, My Favorite Year? It's just a
I don't
fantastic
remember.
movie.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But it's the kind of movie you should see in a movie
Yeah.
theater.
That's so funny. I was this loosely connected. I
Yes.
was just watching The Kids in the Hall.
Yeah.
Because my daughter was like, "What's that all about?" We
Right.
watched the first few episodes, and I didn't realize that The Kids in the Hall is a Sid Caesar joke.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Every
that.
time the joke would bomb on the Sid Caesar show, he'd say, "Oh, I got that one from The Kids,
Kids in the Hall, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and this is and the show that was, I mean, it was a parody of the Sid Caesar show, which was,
Yeah.
in the early days of TV, these were all live shows, and they had just sort of like the way Saturday Night Live is now, pretty much. It's the only one left, right?
Yeah, sure.
And
I think it's important when we first started speaking to Mike. This
Yeah.
was years ago. The Roxy had just been renovated. It had just been reopened,
Right.
etc.
Yeah.
Now let's fast forward. Have you achieved everything you planned to achieve with the Roxy in terms of the facility, from a programming perspective? Let's take a victory
Yeah,
lap
sure,
here. I
sure.
mean, it's a pretty impressive. It's an impressive place.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I hesitate to say I've achieved everything because there's a
Right.
The reality is that nonprofits were started as a way to solve problems. And if the problem is making the world a better place, their mission,
Right.
making the world a better place through movies and community and culture, like our mission, I don't think we've solved that problem just yet.
Right.
We've helped. So in terms of mission accomplishment, not quite. And there's a couple of things like There's a few improvements at the theater that we'd like to do. I mean, yes, we have this marquee that we put in 8 years ago, which is gorgeous, and new seating and new projection, and and then the weird random things like we have a movie garden now because of COVID, and we have the little annex next door.
Right.
But, there's a few improvements that are under wraps right now that I know are going to happen. But there's also a pretty big deal, which is that we want the Roxy to be fully owned outright by the organization. We have a mortgage at this point, and we will probably be going public in the next year or so to
fundraiser,
to pay that thing off.
Yeah,
and
that'd be
be
great.
Like it's the communities now, and there's not,
That's
there's
great.
not that.
Well, it's got a rich history for Missoula.
Yeah.
And you've, made it, you contemporized it, but you kept enough of the connections that anybody that's been here for a long time could feel this is, this is an anchor. It's an anchor in the city. As the city grows and changes, the Roxy is right there, sort of at the heart of it all.
I almost wish it was a bigger Roxy because you could always go to AMC to see those.
I don't want to. I mean, for me, I like it the way it is. It's a community theater.
Well, what would you do to improve it?
Why
What would you do if you had your druthers?
Oh God,
you want more space?
Well, sure, always more space. I mean, because as we look at like our annual budget, our limitations are just what it is. We have these
space.
You have these number of seats.
Screens.
We have this
you have
many
that many
popcorns we
screens.
can sell in a night. I mean, it would be really cool to have one bigger room, but then how often do we need?
Right.
During film festivals, we'd love to fill up a 500.
Right, but you've made up for that by using the university facility.
Honestly, right?
Yeah,
There's there's very little I would change about the Roxy. I'd put a basement in the Roxy because we have no storage.
Yeah.
But that's insane. Nobody can do that.
Or you could take one of the buildings. You could take one of the buildings on the street when they finally go out. A tuxedo shop or something. You could become your storage.
Make it our storage.
Yeah.
Well, by the way, there's more storage facilities in Missoula popping up every day.
Yeah.
Right.
I know, but if we could just put those boxes downstairs and get them out of the way, wouldn't that be nice? Instead of under the stage or wherever.
You're in a highly dense neighborhood.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I don't know. I'm not trying to be cagey at all. Nothing comes to mind. It's like I
enjoy
when we think about where it was 11 years ago and the kind of improvements we've been able to make. I'm just so proud of the
So
team and the community.
let me focus on this for a second.
Yeah.
You're programming for the Roxy. You have revivals of older movies to show again in the theater.
Yeah.
You have the new things that some of them are mainstream, like Poor Things was playing in your theater as well as the AMC at the same time.
Yeah.
You have more arty films. Is there enough content out there? Or maybe a better question is the content after COVID good enough to keep people interested in coming into the theater?
Well, it's a good question, and I wish I knew that for the answer for the future. I can tell you that there is clearly a time in the Roxy's history which is BB and AB, before Barbie and after Barbie.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Because the impact that film made on our theater was ginormous. It's the highest grossing film we've ever had, as is the case for probably many theaters that showed it. But it also ushered in this return of an audience that we started back 2 years prior, right? It was 21 when we reopened. And it was like, okay, a couple little hits, a few things here and there. But it wasn't until July of last year with Oppenheimer as well. I won't, dismiss that. I like Barbie more, but whatever.
I like Barbie more too.
It's a better movie. It's actually a better movie.
Greta Gerwig is did an unbelievable
She's a better
job.
Filmmaker. Period.
Yes.
And I'll fight anybody.
And I have to say, I know this may be controversial.
Christopher
I
Nolan.
actually, like the Leonard Bernstein movie.
I loved Maestro.
Maestro
and
was
I thought Bradley Cooper did an amazing
Much better job.
He did.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, Cillian Murphy's everybody.
He's a fine actor.
He's a fine actor, and that was
a crap script. I mean, it's not a good script. It's like
he had a fairly narrow range of emotion in that particular character.
Yeah.
And it was you didn't know what he was supposed to be because
Florence.
he was an unknown quantity.
She was good.
To try to replicate, Leonard Bernstein.
No, beautiful.
The way
I
he
was
did.
concerned. I was like, oh, he's going to wear a nose. I'm like, great. But it didn't distract.
Not at all.
And even,
His conducting scene was
brilliant.
I mean, I remember as a kid watching on Sunday, Leonard Bernstein conducting the Philharmonic for Children.
Yeah.
and in the sweater, just the way it was, and he just had it down.
Yeah,
so
that scene in the
perfect.
church is
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I hate to say
Have
it.
you seen Maestro?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I saw it on TV. But I hate to say it, but these films, right? It's where you see a film that shapes your perception and your feeling about.
Well, if you
the
saw it in a
film.
movie, if you saw it in an airplane, if a plane flight, it's not going to have the same effect.
Well, I saw Barbie on a plane and couldn't watch it. I saw Oppenheimer on a plane and could watch it,
Well, why?
which is odd.
Why could you watch that more?
I don't know.
That's weird.
I don't know. And then I saw Maestro at home, and you know what? I couldn't keep up with the audio, the dialogue. It's just, and it was dark. And this is an interesting thing happening with films. It's almost like seeing it in
killed. It didn't have anybody getting killed. Sylvester Stallone wasn't coming across the screen. There wasn't a New York Rangers or the Knicks or anything. I understand.
I think,
but it was a New York film.
It was a very New York film.
It was,
that
but
parade
it's like,
scene, unbelievable.
That was
well,
amazing.
I know what you didn't like about it, which is he took the risk of having the overlapping dialogue between him and
Maestro.
Like
Maestro.
This, like
No,
this
I know,
interview
but I'm
right
saying-
now.
Right, exactly. He did this the way it really is.
By the way, let's do an
idea.
ID. Our guests are Mike Steinberg and Lee from the IWFF and the Roxy Theater. Little ID.
If you pay attention, if you pay attention to film, it's interesting to hear about a project that's coming along and then see it and see if it actualizes what it was intended to do.
Sure.
So, for example, they're now going to do a movie about Frank Sinatra.
Who's
And
playing
Biopic?
Sinatra?
and Scorsese is directing.
Well, wait, sorry about that.
Was that a Sinatra song I just heard?
Yeah,
Succession.
Strangers in the Night.
I know. Yeah, fly me
Wait,
to
who's
the moon.
playing Sinatra?
You're not
This is
gonna
the
believe
most
this.
important
This is-
question. Wait, you know the answer?
I know the
Well,
answer.
Wait,
Whoa.
hold off then. Who's playing Sinatra? Is it the kid who played Elvis?
No.
Butler, whatever?
Austin Butler.
Wait, what year is this set? You
It's
know?
going to set when he is in the relationship in his second marriage with Ava Gardner.
Okay.
Mark Anthony?
Mark.
Looks like a really young Sinatra.
So Sinatra's like 40, right?
Steve Buscemi?
40s. No.
Don Cheadle.
Well, he's
Don
playing
Cheadle's
Don Cheadle's playing Sammy Davis
of course.
Jr. Right?
Born to play Sammy.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Who?
He's such a method actor. He's gonna.
I'll tell you who's playing. I'll tell you who's playing Jennifer Gardner. Jennifer Gardner's playing Ava Gardner. Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Gardner.
No, Jennifer J Lo.
Oh, okay. So is it
Jennifer
I know who it
Lawrence.
Is it
Ben
Sam
Affleck.
Rockwell?
No.
Sam Rockwell.
Would
good
be
guess.
great.
He would be great. He's so eclectic.
Someone said Sam Rockwell should play in the biopic. Who should he play? There was another biopic they're thinking of.
Well, I
where
don't know.
Sam Rockwell.
So you got Jennifer Lawrence playing Ava
Gene
Gardner.
Wilder. He could play Gene Wilder.
And I can see Jennifer Lawrence doing that because she was very volatile in American,
Yeah.
what was it, American Gigolo?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, American Hustle.
American Hustle. She got so she could play the fiery Ava Gardner.
Sure.
Sorry, Leave. This is we're going on a way.
Sorry.
Okay, we're not
That's
going
what happens when you get three
Drum
Jews
roll.
on.
Say three Jews
You're
in
not
a room.
going
Forget
to
it.
believe this.
The name of this show is Kids.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
No.
Yes.
Really?
He signed on. He signed on for it.
That's
To play him
disappointing.
30 years ago or what?
No,
Come
to
on.
play him in his 40s.
The only thing he has in
kind of.
common with Frankie is his womanizing and going after.
Well, he doesn't sing that
Ah.
I know of.
Oh, this is going
How
to be
weird.
It's
That's
it's
weird.
weird as when I heard Timothy Chalamet's playing Bob Dylan.
Have you seen the pictures though?
He looks just
looks
like
great.
it. He
He
looks
looks
great.
great.
He does
Prosthetic.
look great.
This is the movie though. This Dylan movie is like it. I thought the whole thing is like Dylan Goes Electric, right? That's
Right.
what it's all
No,
about.
it's-
And Pete
it's
Seeger
not.
comes out and
Is
and
it- it
chops
is?
the
That's the
cable.
story. That's when they get.
That's the context of the movie.
Right.
It's all like that.
right from the train.
And I was like, that's a movie. Like,
yeah, it's not
can't
enough.
do that. Anyway, but Chalamet looks awesome as Dylan.
I haven't
You
seen
see that?
pictures.
I actually saw him on a plane flight at Willy Wonka, and he was very good.
Wait, was he dressed as Willy Wonka?
Yes.
Yes, he
On the
was. He
plane?
was. He was.
Yeah, no, he was on the plane. Dressed as Willy
He was
Wonka.
just-
He
he
was
was
singing
handing
the
out
song.
peanuts.
He was singing the song.
Gobstoppers.
You know, and then and then what's his name showed up and playing Sammy Davis Jr. singing Candyman. You know, it was all a
Yeah.
crazy dream.
You were just.
Let's get back to the
Wait,
wildlife.
I want to ask
some
Lee
kind of
a
sedative.
question. Arnie, we always ask these questions of our guests. Lee, you've been here for how long? How long have you been in Missoula?
3 weeks.
That's it.
That's it.
But so where are you going after you're staying here, right? Or you're leaving? You're leaving.
Well, she went to
I'm
school
leaving,
here. She's
yeah.
not. This is only not the first 3 weeks you ever.
No, this is her first 3
It's my
weeks in
first time
Missoula.
ever in Missoula.
3 weeks?
Yeah, 3 weeks.
What do
Yes.
you think of our fair city?
Oh, I
The
love
Garden
it.
City.
Besides the snow after it was 70 degrees.
I mean,
what do
I
you
love
make
the
of that?
snow. I'm a Brazilian. I was like shooting
She was
and
taking
sending pictures home and
right.
like, it's
Sending
snowing.
video.
Is this your first time in Montana?
I've been to Yellowstone 7 years ago. So
Yeah,
yes
okay.
and no.
Where did you come before you got here? Where were you?
I was in California. So
Whereabouts?
in Nevada City.
Whoa.
Because I was the festival director for the Wild and Scenic Film Fest.
Oh, is that where Wild and Scenic was?
Yes,
Okay.
Nevada City.
Is that near Reno?
Near the Lake Tahoe, like
Tahoe,
1
okay.
hour from Tahoe.
Got it.
But we are actually moving cross country to New York. So we decided to
What
come.
for? So boring there.
Right? No. Yeah.
Before we're
Why
off
are
the
you
to-
going to New York? New York City?
New York City.
Whereabouts? Where are you going to live?
We don't know yet. We're still
Who's the
looking.
we?
So my husband and I. So he's here with me. And he was working
Bruno, he's the
remote.
best.
Yeah.
What does Bruno do? Is he involved in the industry?
No, he's like a finance guy.
He can work
corporate.
anywhere.
He's a completely different entity. Yeah.
So you're going to New York.
Yes. So he was called back to the office, and then we have to go
Okay.
back to the city.
But we're sending her with breadcrumbs. So she
She can find her way back.
Yeah.
By the way, one
Good
last thing
idea.
before we go back to the Wildlife Film Festival.
Yes.
They're doing a movie about Reagan, and there's a prominent role in it for Frank Sinatra. And in that movie, Sinatra is going to be played by Scott Stapp from Creed.
No.
From
Yes.
the band Creed?
Yes,
What?
the lead singer from the band Creed.
Sorry, Lee.
So
who's
interesting.
playing
Big
Reagan?
distraction.
I don't know who's playing Reagan, but that was a big deal because they were talking about Leo DiCaprio
my
and then
God.
Scott Stapp playing him.
That's a real.
Reagan. Oh, you know who could do Reagan is Josh Brolin would be a good Reagan.
Well, he already played, W in the other movie, right?
Oh, right, of course.
Oh, yeah, he did.
He's
And
going to play all the
related.
Republicans.
They're all related, yeah.
Yeah, they're all related. No, it's kind of a weird combination of things, right? These people playing these kind of odd roles. I always thought Michael Bublé would play him in something.
Would
right?
play Reagan?
No, Sinatra,
Sinatra,
or
right,
whatever.
okay.
Yeah, somebody like that.
Yeah, funny.
But anyway, let's go back to the Wildlife Film Festival. So tell us the schedule. Tell us the schedule about it.
Was there a segue? There was a
there
perfect
is.
segue.
There is. Time.
Yeah.
It's a time segue. We want to get back to the purpose of you being here.
Always. So we start with the Wild Walk and Wild Fest on Saturday.
Right.
And this has been happening for many years.
That's over 20. That's nearly 30 years.
Right,
Nice.
and
That's
I'm
the
really
downtown
excited.
parade.
You sold me when we have
clearly
this
taping this
this
before that.
parade, and you can be in costumes, and yeah. So
It's pretty cool.
That'll
Bruno,
be fun.
yeah, we're very excited. And then at 2 p.m. start the screenings, and we have screenings from Saturday through Thursday
Right.
next week. And then we play the Best of Fest on Saturday, the 27th, and from the 28th to the May 3rd, we have the films virtually.
The virtual, which is great. Is that a big trend post-COVID where people are having more virtual film festivals?
So, taking it back 4 years when the pandemic hit, we were finalizing all of our plans and,
Right.
mid-March for the festival, which would have been in April. And, initially when we closed the Roxy, I remember telling people we're going to be closed for a week, and we just took the program off
Right.
for a week. And I was like, oh, geez.
It's a long one.
And then it was clear after a couple of weeks, like, we're not going to be able to have this event. Nobody's traveling. Things are different
Right.
than we ever thought they could be. And so Carrie Richey, who was our festival director back then, just whipped together the most amazing virtual fest before there was even any kind of infrastructure to do that. Today, there are these cool platforms that have popped up. Eventive is one, for example, that we've used for the last couple of years. But Carrie just figured it out. She was like, well, it's
Right.
the Wildlife Film Fest. We'll give people Vimeo
busy.
links and ask them for donations is how we did it. Very and we made a ton of money.
Bootstraps, right.
That was extremely instrumental to keeping us going in that process. So, but now there's a means to do it that's much more
Sure.
straightforward, and you buy
Right.
a pass and you watch the films at home or whatever. And really your question though is that I think it's a thing and it's just with us. And the really cool thing that first year there was a movie about a wolf in Vancouver, and we played the film at the festival virtually because of course that was we were
Right.
shut down.
In 2020.
And the audience that came out for that film I should say, stayed home for that film.
Right, but supported it.
In Vancouver, in BC, was enormous.
Wow.
That's cool. That's very cool.
And so we found it like reaching audiences that we never would have with films.
And
that
this can happen with this as well.
I think so.
Because
yeah.
you can going virtual. So after, so that was the walk is on Saturday. Tell us about Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
So what kind of films? What are you excited about?
Yeah, what are you excited about?
Oh my gosh, it's really hard to decide what are my favorite films because
You
I
can't.
love basically
Are you going to see all
everything.
60 of them? No, you can't.
Oh, we have 74.
74
films?
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, we
I
have,
got to come. Arnie, next week we'll go.
Yeah, we should go.
we have 17 feature films, 6 short blocks, and 4 feature and shorts playing.
Wow.
What's the most unusual one, do you think? Is there one that's cut differently from what you usually see?
Linksman, which is one of my favorite films this year.
Yeah.
And it's a film from Finland. And it's about this guy who, it's like a wildlife conservation film, but in a very artistic and experimental way. He puts a mask of like lynx. So he's wanting to call the attention for the lynx and lynxes that have been like killed.
You were
in the
thinking
area.
LYNX, not lynx, LINKS, right? The lynx.
Not the
animal.
missing
lynx.
link, but the
Yeah.
links.
Yeah.
Got it.
I said no Sasquatch movies.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
Right.
But yeah, it's a very different and well, we can say this already because people will know. It's the award-winning for our New Vision category, actually.
Well, that's cool.
So yeah,
Cool.
the judges were just like blown away by the cinematography and the way the storytelling. It's a very unique film.
Do you often find that the foreign cinematographers have a better take on things, or are they more craft-oriented than our American colleagues?
Well, I think particularly when I've seen a tendency when someone's coming from somewhere else and shooting a place. So in the case of films shot in North America, sure,
Right.
if they're a European filmmaker or a Asian filmmaker,
right.
they might have a perspective and a view that's different. But I bet that's true of. I think that's true also of films that are set elsewhere, shot by American filmmakers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of like. Not necessarily a documentary, but Lost in Translation.
Right.
Sofia Coppola has a beautiful view of Japan.
Right. It was a
And
totally.
meanwhile, like Robbie Mueller, who shot for Wim Wenders for years, Paris, Texas, for example.
Right.
Like that's America. That's incredible.
Yeah,
from a
like
German
you've never
perspective.
seen it before. Yeah, from a German
So
perspective.
Absolutely. I think there's a history of that. And I think it's true of wildlife films as well. You go somewhere new and you're seeing something that maybe the people who were there before you didn't see because they were used to it,
What was your favorite movie this past year?
Me?
Yeah, that you saw.
Poor Things was way
That's
up there.
what
I love that movie.
I thought it was amazing. And the person I thought that was most underrated in that is
Willem Dafoe?
Willem Dafoe.
Yeah. Friend
He
or
was-
Dafoe?
He was
Friend.
Yeah. He is unbelievable.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. No, I love that movie, and I love his. Actually,
I didn't see it. I'm going to see
Oh,
it.
it's
it's wonderful and weird. You'll love
It's
it.
wonderful and weird, and it's original, and it's
It's Barbie.
yeah.
It's like steampunk Barbie.
Totally. I mean, it captured. It's. You've seen the 2 or 3 concepts before. I was thinking of Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah, sure.
Right. You know, and Frankenstein. But the way it was done, it was just
It's
so
stunning.
refreshing.
Yeah.
That it was riveting, and her performance, obviously, Emma Stone was amazing.
Unreal. What about you? What was your favorite movie? Of
Yeah.
last year?
Yeah.
I think Happy Days. What's the
Oh,
Win Wenders?
Oh,
Perfect
Days.
Perfect Days.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
going to say, who
Yes.
saw that? I haven't seen that.
Oh my God!
beautiful.
Oh, it's
I
beautiful.
have a good
it's,
Wim Wenders
it's-
story.
Yeah, I love those kinds of stories. Just simple script. Not a lot of characters, and yeah.
It was up for an award.
I was
Yes.
Yeah, for best
Yeah.
foreign film.
right.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if you're going to bring back some foreign films into the Roxy, I always like Lena Wertmüller's movies.
We showed
Which one?
Beauties. What is it? 500 Beauties? Is that her?
Is it? Was that
Is it
hers?
that many beauties? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that what it is? 500
Yeah, I
beauties?
think it's 500 Beauties.
Yeah, we just showed that in
That whole
in
sequence
October.
that she did at one time, which was 3 of them that were all connected to each other, were just
Yeah,
phenomenal.
really, definitely unsung. Well, we've got Truffaut next month.
Well, that's
a whole series of.
I was going to
Truffaut.
say, with Leave here, we'd be remiss but not asking the question. Tell us about the Brazilian film scene.
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, what's going on? Who are some of the great directors, filmmakers there that we should be aware of? Here in the United States. Put you on the spot.
Oh my gosh, I'm blanking.
Are you blanking on
I'm
Brazilian
blanking.
filmmakers?
Do you have a favorite Brazilian movie that you would share with our listeners that they should see?
I really love. I mean, it's so cliche,
Yeah,
but
but-
City of God.
Well,
It's a
City of
great
God, yeah. I mean,
film.
but a lot of people haven't seen City
Right.
of God.
Yeah.
I haven't.
I've
Are
seen
You
it.
never seen
Really?
City of God?
Yeah.
It's
No.
incredible.
No, so you have to watch it.
Then you've
It's-
made a
it's-
great recommendation to me and my listeners.
Did you ever see Favela Rising? It's a documentary.
I'm not. I know, but I don't remember if I watched it or
Yeah,
not.
it's. I mean, it was made after City of God, but he employs some of the same techniques, like visually cross processing. Yeah, really super rich, really good.
What's interesting is, maybe talking about the International Wildlife Film Festival, when you talk about how it has changed over time and, what it's contributed to, over the years, things like understanding of the role of bees in the community or whales or whatever. There's a generation now who were born after, 1990s who have never seen. I talk to my nieces and nephews. They've never seen some of the great movies because with all of the media outlets and on demand, you can pick exactly what you want, and you're not. It's not like the old days where it was on, or there's only two theaters in town. If you want to see a movie, you went there, and so you got exposed to more things.
Right.
I mean, now you don't. I don't know how you get
I don't know
everybody
either,
back
and
into that.
I try to resist being a curmudgeon about it, but I'm like, if you don't make some effort to do something, it doesn't feel like you're really doing it. So
Right.
sometimes because of the way technology
Right.
works for us, it just comes to you. And you're like, oh, that's a thing that exists. But I mean, again, not to be an old man, but I'm of the time where it's like physical media. You go out to the place, the bookstore, the record store, the video store, and some fellow nerd insults you or gives you recommendations or whatever, and that's how you learn about stuff. And I guess the internet is that, just amplified. But but
Word of
going
mouth.
to the place, going to the movie theater, being with the people watching it together. I mean, I just feel like that's what the experience is.
Yeah, and you have to do it. I mean,
I'm glad we're keeping it alive, and it's
Tell me
true
this.
that people like it.
So when we think about film, we also think about the soundtrack, the music under the film. What has surprised you, captured you this year with the film slate you have musically? Anything that really just stands out?
We have actually a Note for Nature, which is a film set in Ireland with musicians. It's a very interdisciplinary, and they go to the landscapes, and they're all activists trying to preserve this beautiful landscapes in Ireland. And there is an orchestra, some singing musicians, and it's a beautiful and very unique kind of film. So it seems that you're going to a concert, but you're actually in a movie.
And the name of that film is again?
A Note for Nature.
A Note for Nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, music is very important. So the soundtrack of your life, but it heightens the experience in almost any movie if you got the right soundtrack matched up. With
Absolutely.
The right movie.
Some of the great.
Yeah.
It's that beautiful tree film that we're showing.
Giants Rising.
Giants Rising.
Yeah.
The score on that's pretty amazing too.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. And we will be right back after these words. All right, Arnie, we are back with Leave and Mike Steinberg.
Leave. How do we find out about everything you need to know about going to the film festival, and then how do they log into the virtual if they can't make it?
So they can go to our website, wildlifefilms.org, or they can go to the Roxy,
Website.
to the Roxy website, or if they're just old school, they can come to the theater, and the box office will help them find tickets as well. And if people want to watch it online, they can go to our website, and there is a link to go to Eventive, which is our platform.
And what does a film cost? What does a ticket cost? What does a film cost?
A single ticket costs $20 for the in-person.
$10.
No, the 20.
Movie ticket? $10.
Oh, so I'm talking
Yeah.
about, sorry.
Oh,
I
it's okay.
just finished another festival.
That's okay.
$10.
Yeah. Take that question. We're giving Missoula prices, not these California
So $10
prices.
a
California
ticket.
prices.
Yeah, $10.
per film. Good.
Yeah.
And
And
if
then
you-
there's discounts. If you're a Roxy member, you get discounts.
Got it.
You
And
get
if
senior discounts.
and if you're watching it virtually, do you have to pay to watch it virtually?
yes, you
Yeah.
pay for a pass on Inventive.
And what does that
Which
cost?
is $100.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And they
But
have access to a bunch of films. And we also have single tickets.
single tickets virtual as well.
Got
Maybe
it.
you just
Yeah.
missed one thing, you want to catch it.
Right.
You know. or just-
Perfect.
This is great, you guys. This is a good freewheeling conversation. This is
Loves
It's
it.
a lot of fun.
This is the kind we love.
That's the
Do
kind
you
we
like
love.
have to drag some of your guests through conversations sometimes?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes
No, come
we
on, you
do.
can be honest. Nobody's going to
No,
tell
this
anybody.
is well. The other thing is we're both interested in the genre, right? So
Sure.
this is not talking about concrete manufacturing or something.
Do you have
like
a lot of
that.
those guests?
Oh,
We
yeah.
have a few.
Yeah, again,
This is more to our
Bob
heart.
is here from the concrete plant.
Yes.
Here in Drummond.
Yeah. Tell us how you grow apples.
Well, we just sit and watch them grow.
I mean, look at them. Anyway, this has been a spirited conversation. Thank you. It was a delight to have you both. Arnie, I'll see you next Sunday.
Next week, Scott.
See you then.
Thank you for listening to What Do You Know?
I can't wait for the next show, Scott.
I'm excited too, Arnie. If you'd like to suggest a guest, send me an email at scottrichmond@townsquaremedia.com. We'll see you next week. And thanks for listening to Newstalk KGVO.
Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.